Hello and welcome to another edition of The One Team We Agree On. I'm Jillian.
I'm Kyle.
And it's been a few days, hasn't it?
It's been a few interesting days, a few exciting days.
It is.
Atlas fans are, let's just say,
Salty?
salty. Yeah.
Put it
Um,
mildly.
yeah, to put it very mildly. But on today's show, we're going to just discuss that. We're going to discuss the Union moving on in the CCL. And then I guess we'll talk a little bit about Cincinnati here in the beginning from this past Saturday and look ahead to a couple MLS matches coming up for the Union. And we got some questions as well from some listeners. Again,
Indeed.
thank you everybody for participating. When we ask this question, it's great to interact with you guys.
Yes.
But before we get started, do you want to should we give a shout out to
Happy 8th birthday to our friend Elliot Slocum.
Yes, happy birthday, buddy. Hope you had a great day and celebrates a Union victory.
Yeah.
So that's really not Union victory, Union draw. But they moved
aggregate
on.
Victory.
Aggregate victory, yes.
Yes.
So what are we wearing today?
I'm wearing the 2022 playoff snake shirt.
And I'm actually wearing, I'm pretty sure this is not even officially licensed, but
Yeah.
I'm wearing my very first Union shirt that I bought shortly after the Atlanta game. Got it on Amazon. It still has the old patch and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like $5, and I got it, and I wore it to like the rest of our games till we actually start getting I think we got that first jersey, the lucky jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like the very first Union thing outside. I think a scarf we got the very first game.
Yeah, and that was my lucky scarf last year. That scarf.
Yeah.
I'll probably start using that again because it's getting, hot. It's like in the 80s today. It's hot today.
It is very beautiful.
And I'm operating on 4.5 hours of sleep after staying up and watching the game last night, but well worth it.
Very worth it. Very worth it.
I wore this headband to school today. I was dressed professionally and everything, but I had like a navy blue dress on and wore that with this since it matched, and because I definitely wanted to sport something Union. And first thing, as the kids come off the buses and I have to monitor the lobby. As a specials teacher, I get all the fun, extra duties, like cafeteria duty and all that. But a couple of the students that are big fans get off the bus and immediately they're like, "Oh man, Carranza!" Yeah, and they were all excited. So I had already at that point had a nice big iced coffee from Starbucks, so I was good to go the rest of the day. So yeah, well worth it to stay up late on that.
It was well worth it. And I actually got to work and had a couple cups of coffee and got my day started. So anyway, before we get started, make sure to follow and interact with us. We are on Twitter at TOTWAG. That's One Team We Agree On. I should still try to see if we can fix that handle because it doesn't make sense. We're on Facebook and Instagram at the One Team We Agree On, all one word. And you can now also, outside just YouTube and Spotify, you can also find us on Apple Podcasts and also on Google Podcasts. So we are there at both of those platforms as well now. So if you follow through those apps, please give us a like and follow. So I guess before we get into the main portion of the show, which is definitely going to be discussing Atlas.
Yes.
Let's just have a few minutes to talk about the match against Cincinnati. A question I had seen following that match was that to this point in the season the Union's best match?
Honestly, I thought we didn't start as slow.
No.
I liked what I saw at the beginning. We did not start slow, and given the new formation and You having not a lot of our usual starters out there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we played really well to start the game.
Yeah, I did too. And the other thing that I really thought that we did a really, really good job of was, we didn't, like you said, we didn't have our starters out there. We had, because we're getting ready for CCL. And I thought we did a really nice job of, with those players. They were hungry. They were out there,
They
getting
were.
at it. And I thought for the first 50 minutes, we were the better team.
Yeah,
When
I thought so too.
when we were going in halftime, I remember I turned to you and I said, man, if we keep playing like this, maybe we get a late goal. Maybe we get a draw out. I mean, this had all the signs and symptoms of a 0-0 road draw where you're like, ooh, okay, maybe we're turning the tide.
Yeah, and I would have gladly taken a draw there for sure.
Yeah, and just to get to, we get to 60th minute, and here come our normal starters. And, like Jim had said, they were going for that. They wanted that point, it was by design. And one, I thought we kind of lost a little bit of momentum, and then that's when we gave up the sloppy clearance, which number one, we should have cleared that.
Yeah.
But number two, then we have this mystery PK. Well, and Blake, to be honest, he takes out costs. I mean, that's a PK.
But it's just annoying that it happened.
It was just a weird thing. There's
Yeah.
a goal, and then all of a sudden, oh no, it's gonna wave off. There's a PK. Blake reads it right, but Costa puts a good ball in it. Now apparently he's out.
Yeah.
So, and then we just couldn't really get anything going against Sultana there at the end. They kind of bunkered down. They got, they get those points. So, that was a little frustrating. But for me, I don't know how you felt. I felt they're going, okay, that's probably the best early on. The subs, I mean, our second string was hungry, and I guess that's what he wanted. I left there feeling, okay, maybe we're starting to build something.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited to see Jesus Bueno.
Yeah.
We're a big fan of his. And of course, Brujo was really good.
I mean,
Blessness was really good.
Yeah.
As he's been. I mean, we saw a lot of good things.
Right. And I also thought, and Jim said, because Damien had a hamstring tweak, I thought Harriel did an excellent job.
He did. I thought Harriel did a good game.
So you got Kai and you got Harriel, both right and left backs, although Harriel's been playing left back recently. Doing a good job there playing that role. I wouldn't put him in all the time, but I mean, that's credit to them. And
I was disappointed not to see Perea.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that, but overall, disappointing not to get points. And it's like, well, and credit. I mean, at home against Cincinnati. I mean, they're where we were last year. You
think back to like last year when we were like, oh man, we dropped points on that. When that 1 point would have made a difference last year.
So now, I asked, not a poll, just a question the day after. I said, who was the most impressive player to this point for the Union? Who stood out to you the most? And we had a lot of the newcomers have been impressive, as we've discussed. But who do you think has stood out to you the most?
I would say Damian Lowe. I think he has really stood out, and I want to see more from him. Because I mean, he goes in and he's just been on. I mean, Jacob Glessness would be the other one for me. But like, I also expected Jacob to be, defender of the year quality, I mean, I expect this, and I was, of course, and he's doing it. He's playing really, really well. For me, I guess even more impressive for me was Damian Lowe, only because, he's a newcomer to our team.
Right.
And he's really stepped up, and man, has he been good when he's been in.
Oh, he's been solid. I mean, against the game against Atlas Air, I mean, he was tracking down Quintiones. Quintiones. Yeah. Me and my
and there you go.
And that's one of many mispronunciations. But he was tracking him down, and I do believe that last night, had he been in there, I think I'm not saying they wouldn't have scored goals, but I think he would definitely help shut some things down. But
Right.
that's a shoulda, coulda, woulda. For me, and this is just one. It's been Jacob,
Hmm.
Jacob across the board, and for me, how do you turn around? And you could say last year it was Jack, maybe a little bit more because Jack was playing more
Yeah.
consistently throughout the season. Well, Jack's kind of dropped off this year. He hasn't had the
Hmm.
best year to this point.
It's not
Uh,
to say he's playing bad, but
he's
just
had some
but
stinkers.
there's been
There's been some
not the same
stinkers.
quality.
No,
Yeah.
this quality's definitely dropped. Now, you can't turn around. Sure, guy that
Oh yeah.
quality, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of these players are still getting into it, but for him early on here to take what he had with MVP level, and I'll argue that I think at some points he's playing even at a better quality.
Mhm.
So we saw the reports earlier, and like Ray's season was starting that there was a club, and I think it was Turkey was interested in him.
Hmm.
I mean, what's to say that he keeps playing at this level? They make an offer, Ernst can't refuse,
Right.
and you know, next thing you know, now we got some decisions to make, but we'll see. But anyway, thank you guys that all participated. But let's get on to the main part. So Atlas, last night's game,
Yeah. What a game.
just a funny stat, and I want to throw this out to you because I was talking in the group chat today about this.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna throw out the whole stat because it was for a friend I threw it together for, but guess how many MLS teams have lost to Mexico all time?
How many?
But take a guess.
I have no idea. I'm bad at guessing stuff like this.
I mean, when we're talking about just CCL, because this was an interesting question. So I was thinking about it, and so I will tell you this: it is more than 40.
Really?
40. In fact, there are teams in their entire history in Champions League have never ever won in Mexico.
Really? That is
Teams that
interesting.
have historical past, such as, well, forget off the top of my head, I'm not going to say them out, but I'm pretty sure DC has never won, United has never won in Mexico.
Okay.
I think LA Galaxy might have a draw with them or somebody else does. But yeah, there are some teams that have done some great, great things in CCL and have never won in Mexico. So what I'm getting at to set prefaces is MLS historically has not done well in road games during CCL. But again, let's talk about it. So how are you feeling going into this match?
Nervous. Cautiously optimistic. But the way we've been not scoring a lot of goals also had me thinking, oh man, is this going to be like maybe 1-0 or 1-1 or something like that, you know?
Yeah, so this is probably one of the few times I went in this game and you're even saying, what are you doing? I'm just standing there. I was legitimately apprehensive going into this game only because I was
Hmm.
like, we start out, we look good, and I'm just like, this is a different environment for a lot of those guys. So as soon as that error happens, where and give Atlas credit, they get a guy off.
Hmm.
I think it was Bizo gets on anyway. They break in there's a blown play, and he just bangs one home. There's nothing
Hmm.
you can do. 11 minutes in, and I'm thinking they're
Yeah.
going, we're not
I was
moving
like,
on.
oh crap.
That was the first time I ever was like, yeah, this is not good because I've seen it, saw it last
Hmm.
year from teams like New York's NYCFC. They had similar issue against,
Hmm.
I think it was Pumas. And lots of teams, they go to Mexico, they give
Hmm.
up an early goal, and then it's not a pretty sight. So it was opera.
And I was like, Julian needs to score.
You
Julian needs
did
a
say
goal. I
that.
definitely said that. And well,
What's he do? I
yes.
mean, and let's talk
And
about
Fuego.
that ball from McGlynn.
That was such a good ball.
That was such a good ball. He puts
Like
it around.
Julian's gonna get like obviously all the accolades, for those goals, and well deserved. But I'll tell you what, Jack McGlynn had a great game, and he set up that first goal so well.
They did, and so we get the momentum back, and we start getting hungry again. We're trying to push for that second goal, and I just kept nervous, like we need to get a second goal, only because if we're moving on, I wanted to have that second leg. But B, I knew this game we weren't going to be able to hold Atlas. I felt it, because the reason was our defense, like last night, they were out position. Guys were like, we didn't keep our shape at all, and like I felt like we were at times trying to just dig in and defend, and then we get a ball and we get right back, and the thing was, early on, you said this, and I said, and a whole bunch of other people talking too were saying it. Jim always says, if it's a back and forth game, they were not going to win. So what was it? It was a back and forth game, and that's why I'm like, okay. And then, so right before half, Ua gets a foot on the ball, and it goes way out wide, blows a wide open net. Of course, all the comments on Twitter were going wild. And what did you think? Did he get a foot on it? Did they get a foot on the defender? Because he kind of comes in late, and you see like Franz and all of them. They're saying corner. It's a goal kick.
I'm not sure he got a foot on that.
I think he got.
I think he did, but just barely.
I think the guy gets in, changes his angle of what he wanted to do, and he just missed it. At the end of the day, he's got to put that in the net.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have been 2-1 there.
Yeah.
And then that would have ended everything. That would have just been like, because at that point so what they do, they go back down. Ty didn't look 100% right last night. I think he got rushed back, because I think Jim went him in. Gets beat, boom, Jackson out there, goal 2-1. Now we're sitting there going at the half going, they give up another goal, and that's it. And we come out again. Luckily, Jim makes a substitution, gets Kai out of there.
Yes.
But then Bizo.
And we kept saying, man, Bizo needs to come out, being on a yellow.
He wasn't great last night again. No. He was good in Cincy. He was very good against Cincy. But again, this goes back to the discussion I kind of had with Matt Ralph and he said best, but it seems Bizo takes 2 steps forward, he takes 3 steps back, so shout out to, and I agree, there's just, and what I said at the beginning of the year, there has to be consistency there, and there hasn't been. There's been like, I was just listening to Kevin Kincaid's podcast with Joe Tanzi, and they were talking about this too. It's just, there's those blunders, and when he makes those blunders, it's just bad. And he's lucky he did not get a red card, because I would give.
Oh my gosh, I know. I thought for sure he was going to end up with one there.
It was like around 60.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I was like holding my breath there. I was like, oh no.
And then, but here's one thing I want to say is, so he goes out, they bring him around, and you're thinking, oh no. But I don't know if you noticed this, or anybody out there noticed this. When Harold Real and all them were there, I mean, I'm not saying we locked it down, because we didn't give up a goal second half.
Yeah. And
to be fair, once we put in that second goal, which we'll talk about, our shape came back in the back. We were kind of holding shape. We're in front. It was like discombobulated. There was times it broke down, and credit Atlas, but for the most part, all of a sudden we bring in Harold and Real, and our shape's there. And I'm like, okay, especially that last like 7. Once we got that goal, everybody just locked down.
Yeah.
And it was go home.
And Atlas was getting desperate.
Anyway, so, but let's talk about that second goal.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, first, I'm like, oh my gosh, really, it's gonna be offside, and of course, thankfully, VAR was as I forget, someone put it on. VAR will never have to buy a beer in Philly.
Yeah, that was Joe Tanzi.
Joe Tanzi. Yes, I was like, yes. But no, VAR was actually on our side last night. Like, so, but yeah, these offsides though, like how many times have we had goals called off because of offsides, or or potential goals, and yeah, the offsides gets a little frustrating, but
it does.
But thankfully, it was not called offsides, and both those goals by Julian were great.
Yeah, I think, you got to credit Leon there.
Yeah, Leon played really well when
he came in. He broke that ball, got that to Ua.
Yeah.
Ua, right there, gets the ball, nice little, cross pass to Kranza. Kranza bangs him. Now, say what you want. Atlas didn't have their star goalkeeper, much better goalkeeper. Maybe he makes the same, maybe he doesn't, regardless of the fact, then it's 2-2. And we kind of, their fans are getting frustrated, the players get frustrated.
They start throwing stuff on the field.
They get a red card. And when they got the red card and we got to 6 minutes of stoppage time, you were joking. You were just standing there watching. I'm pacing because I'm like, okay. And then we got that header in the box. It just went wide. And
it's like, come on, we need to score one more.
And they were trying.
They were.
It wasn't like, okay, we're going to sit back and just park the bus and go.
No, we
were they were trying to get their goal. It was offsides, but credit to him, he played 90 minutes.
Yes, and I was thinking that last night too. I'm like, and I was gonna say this to you last night. I was like, oh, he played the whole game.
He did. And I think he gets a pass on the night because of that assist to Kranza.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting so much crap. And honestly, the thing is, he is helping create plays. Like he's, setting things up. I mean,
he did that switch off though, that kind of also he didn't need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's not making mistakes here and there, but I think, he's
not being lazy, which I see. That's the thing. He's, as a DP, is your highest paid player. Yes, he needs to be scoring goals, but he's also trying to create stuff. So you have to factor that in. At the end of the day, he's going to get judged, folks, on whether or not he scores goals. We got to be honest with that. And yes, and at the end of the night, there's sometimes where I'm just like, that's not it. I mean, he was selfish on one play, should have passed the ball. I think it was Danny was wide open.
There's times when he should pass it and he doesn't, or there's times where he should go and take a shot and then
he doesn't.
He flubs it or something.
So, but fun fact last night, shots on target, we only had 10. Guess how many? No, we had 10 shots. We had 5 shots on target. So at least their shots on target are getting better too. So overall, they escaped. You could tell Jim and the players were fired up because, and we've seen some of the stats. I mean, think about it in 4 years.
Yeah.
We have gone to the Champions League semifinals twice now in 3 years. That is quite an accomplishment for as slow as this season has been.
Yeah.
For all these accomplishments, the Shield, MLS finals, Eastern Conference champions. I mean, this run is, awesome to see. So from that standpoint, you have to celebrate that. And I know the players will. And I think could
it be a turning point in the season? Do you think this is going to get them,
I tweeted out last night that this is a game, while it was not slow, but the Union did not play as well. They left goals on the field again. Defense wasn't good. But that was kind of the game, along with that first 50, 60 minutes against Cincinnati, where you're kind of like, okay, this looks like, and I don't want to bring up 2022 because but
it looks more of what we're expecting from them.
We are. And I go back to the Montreal game.
Yeah.
We're up 2-1, and we let in 2 great late goals on the road. All right. I still think if we didn't leave them those 2 goals, or maybe we leave him 1, and we get a point and we get on the road and go, okay, cool. Because the priority is CCL right now.
Yeah.
I think when we gave up 2 like that short and 90 plus, that kind of was like a little like, oh, this isn't what we're used to doing. I mean, remember last year we were blowing goals at an alarming rate early in the season. We're blowing leads.
Yeah.
But we were leaving points on the table. We weren't taking losses, so to speak. So I felt like, yes, long story short, yes, that is a game where you can build off. And I think we will build off because you started to see as that the clock started ticking down, they were getting confident. They were getting bold. They weren't sitting back. They were trying to make a move, and that's what you need to see.
Yes.
So I'm not saying we're going to go here in leagues play. I mean, not leagues. MLS play with these upcoming games, and set the world on fire. But I think the quality might be better, and if nothing else, I think the confidence is starting to come back.
Yeah.
And that's a question I have for Jim. Have you seen these last two matches? Because he said against Sporting KC, the confidence isn't there in our attack and overall, and you can see it. Now we're starting to see some things. Is the confidence coming back after this? And that's a question I have for him. So
yeah, I would say, I mean, these last two games, I'm seeing that. Hopefully that continues, I'm interested to see what we do in Chicago.
Yeah, but let's talk about LAFC. Yes. So now we get a rematch.
Oh yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
Well, I think yeah, like you've been saying, whatever happens, this could exercise some demons from last season.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for it. Look,
I think the home game, we're going to be nuts.
I think so too. I think the atmosphere is going to be awesome for that. Yes, we need that second leg. I think this is going to be a tough task. It is. I mean, LAFC, they're in the same predicament we are. However, they're playing at a much better rate early on. So, hey, they haven't taken a loss yet either. So them and Cincinnati are two, teams that haven't lost yet. And, they made easy work of Vancouver. Say what you want about Vancouver. They're not bad, but they're not at level of some other teams in the MLS. Yeah. When Danny said we want LAFC, that tells me they're still stuck on the cup. This, I think, more than anything, is closure. It's like when you have a bad breakup and things go bad, or you just have something that goes bad and you don't get closure, and it just sits there and it festers.
Just for the love of God, don't let it come down to PKs.
I knew you were going to say that. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, no, that would not be good. But I think for anyway, they get closure.
Yeah.
I think they come out, they take it to them. And, we got 3 games against them this year. So it's,
2 of them at home.
So it's going to be fun. This is how rivalries are created. And I think if anything else, I think this is what the players want, the coaches want. We're going to see that. So I'm happy for the union. I'm excited for them. And really, I mean, from an MLS perspective, we got another team now guaranteed to be in the finals of the MLS. I mean, the CCL final. Yeah. So, and I will make the bold prediction: whoever wins this side of the bracket, and goes to the final, will win CCL, and that'll probably put 2 MLS teams in the Club World Cup. That's my thought.
Yeah.
But how do I feel? Am I nervous? I mean, the way LAFC playing, but I'm also very confident that this is a turning point for the union. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as long as they go in and, have a good game plan and don't let the whole fact that, oh, this is a grudge match, like, don't let that throw off their focus. It makes me think of Ted Lasso a little bit.
Yes. These last 2 episodes have been very much about what the union.
It has really made me think of the union, and if you watch the show, I'm not going to give out spoilers, but if you saw when they play West Ham,
yes,
that kind of don't do some things like what happens in that, but I think and then what happened in this week's episode too. So did you watch it yet?
No, I haven't. But so that's a comment to you guys out there. Please leave one. What do you think this CCL semifinal against LAFC means to the team? And do you think this gives closure? Do you think this gives a boost to the union moving forward? Because we kind of do, and we'd love to hear your take on it. And shout out to Solly because he replied on a comment about this, and I apologize I didn't pull it up, but I wanted to shout him out because what he said was spot on with his comment as well. It was late night; you were in bed already.
Yeah, I actually went to bed right away.
Yeah,
like
I was up for another 2.5 hours talking to everybody. So looking ahead. Now we got, to the end of April. So we got Chicago and Toronto. We're on the road in Chicago, which historically I think the Union only have like 3 wins all time.
It's time to change that.
It is time to change it. We're going to see
a
rotated lineup.
Yeah.
Chicago is beatable.
Yeah.
But again, that's the team last year beat us 1-0, and then we bounce back, and that's when we start going on that run. If we were to drop this weekend, would you be concerned?
I think it depends, if we drop it how bad,
Right.
If it's like a 1-0 deal.
Yeah, I'm not
and
worried.
If we play actually pretty well,
yeah, I
won't be concerned. But if we go out there and
get blown out
or look really lackluster, I've blocked a certain game out of my mind from last year, that I don't even want to talk about it, but that was like the worst one.
That was different. That was
yeah, like I said, trying to block that one out of my mind. But yeah, I mean, I want to see, I'd be okay with the draw, but I'd love to see us go win that. But we need to keep the momentum going. We were good on the road in the past, last year, and I hate to keep bringing up last year, but
well, it's a reference point for us.
It is,
but again, we're in the present. So for me, I think if we can get points in these next 2 matches heading into the semis, that's a huge confidence boost. But I think more importantly, let's continue to see marketed improvement, consistency across. I think it benefits us that during the semifinal leg, the Union do not have a match on that Saturday. So they have a bye. That's like a bye week.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit. Although shout out to Billy, did bring up a point that Seattle last year, and I don't know, I need to go back and check this, but they do move league games for CCL and other tournaments just because of conflict. But I'm pretty sure that was in a weekday game, like they would play like a Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing. I'm not sure about Saturday. So if somebody's out there, check that. It would be MLS to say, hey, LAFC, since, why don't we move your game and then both you guys have the weekend off? I could totally see them doing that. I don't know, but it'll be interesting. But I think this weekend you're going to see a heavy rotation. Get some points.
I want to see some Perea.
Well, again, we're gonna talk about that because that is kind of leading into our questions. So, let's take a question from Dan Herman then. He basically asked, does Jack McGlynn take away starts from now? Because Jack, the last couple games, both CCL quarterfinals and also in his last outing as well. Because Jimmy say saved Jack for this game, has been playing at a much better level. Do you see him taking away starts from L?
Really? Maybe. I think either way, we're going to see more of Jack McGlynn.
Oh, he's earned starting time.
Absolutely. He deserves to be in there. He's been phenomenal.
Right. I think for me,
we're better when he's in.
I'll get to the second part. I think from Ali, maybe here and there, but Jack's not strong on that side.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, I think, and here's what it's kind of getting to that point. You guys start to look at like Leon and Jack. That's the thing where does Jack, I could see more Jack taking away starts from Leon.
Yeah.
Leon coming in as a shuttler, lockdown.
Like that was good.
Last night, yeah, he
Yeah.
brought in
I
a
like
different
that.
change because they're two different players. You know,
Yeah.
they kind of mirror each other, kind of like Bizo and Harrell.
Yeah.
To a degree. And I think it was Joe Tanzer, somebody brought it up, and I agree 100% that, yeah, I think Jack, as he's improving defensively, he's going to start warranting more and more starts. You have to put him in there. I mean, that ball, Julian, like we said earlier, was phenomenal. So, and he's creating more.
And how do you like Jack on the corners?
I like him because I'm not sure Kai's been as effective this year. Some of his balls have been phenomenal, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's a good problem to have when you have two guys that can deliver balls like that.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So to answer your question, I think the bigger one he takes away starts from probably going to start being Leon.
Yeah.
Now, as for Perea is the interesting one. What is going on with Andres Perea?
Good question.
Because theoretically, he should be the one on that side because he's right-footed taking away. Now, I know he's also played on the left at times for Leon and Jack. He could easily be somebody you could slot in as well.
Yeah.
Jim has said, and this is what's getting me, he has that game against Orlando, plays very well.
Yeah.
He was our best player in the first leg, arguably.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Jim comes out and says, hey, what's going on with Orange? Well, he's still learning development for defensive plays. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, defensively, that's his thing. So it could just be he's still picking up on some learning defensive cues and all that. But then part of me also goes, well, is there something else going on here? Because he's not even coming on as bench player. So ideally, yeah, you can play him at the 10. You can play him at, you can play him up at the 6. You can play him on the edges. You can play him anywhere in the midfield. Where is he? So,
yeah,
especially the way Joaquim's looked the last couple of games, I'm even like, yeah. So,
yeah.
That's a curious one. I think to answer your question, anybody, I think he would be Perea, but that's my 2 cents. But love to hear your thought too. And then our other question from our buddy Todd Lewis, and this is the thing: should the Union make the CCL final? It's during the U2 World Cup window, U20 World Cup window. Do you think, with the way Jack is playing, the Union should release him for the US? So basically, what he's asking is, should Jack go play for the US, or the way he's playing, should he go play for CCL?
Well, that's a conundrum.
It is, especially because
he's been playing so well for us. He's been an important piece of it. So
during FIFA windows, if the US comes to like a player and says to a club and says we want that player, you pretty much have to give him the player unless he's injured, etc.
Yeah.
Jim has said that. Jim has also said he is very prominent when kids are called on, they go with the national team. He takes great pride in it. So now this window apparently is not a technical FIFA window either. So we can block that and say, no, we need him back home. Knowing Jim, how he set precedent, does he do that?
I kind of feel like he'd let him go. I don't know.
Like I feel like Jim would let him go. Do I think that's the right call? No, I think Jack needs to stay home.
I mean, selfishly, I think Jack needs to be with us. I mean, also, representing our country, and
I get that.
That's big for him too. It's not like we don't have, guys that could, fit in there, but Jack has been really big.
Right. I mean, Quinn, he's still kind of learning some things, and he hasn't been as big as role since his first year out. And Brendan Craig, well, he hasn't even really seen the field much. So, yeah. Those two probably, you could get away with. I don't know about Jack.
Yeah, of the guys, I would say Jack is the one that his absence would be felt the most. So,
So thank you guys again for answering.
Love it.
Asking those questions. And again, anything else to wrap up on?
Oh, the next home game. I guess we'll have another podcast probably before that. We'll talk about the next one. But yeah, that next home game, that's gonna be fun. We got St. Baldrick's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we have to see people at that tailgate. I know they already put out the tailgate info for the SOBs. So
see you out there.
Yeah, see some people get their heads shaved, like Jeff Mitchell. I know he's doing that, and
I might.
you should. I mean, it's not like you have that much to shave off.
Leave a comment. Should I get my head shaved? You should put a poll out.
Yes. Certain number of likes and Kyle shaves his head.
We'll see about that. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in again on the way out. If you enjoyed the show, we're having a blast bringing this to you. So again, if you like it, leave us a comment, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time for the One Team We Agree On. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jillian.
We'll see you next time.